Pop, what's going on, man?
How's it going, son?
Doing good, man. Doing good. Little flu game action, little stitch game action. I don't know if you guys can see, rocking the band-aids on the nose for DQ. Sure, maybe had this idea in the Raiders post game, but we figured, I'm sure he's still healing up.
We
So
also were both going to go backwards hat, but Dominic doesn't want to mess up his hair.
don't know what to tell you. It was poorly planned on my end. There's just certain things have matriculations throughout the
Apparently, this
week,
was was
so
this was his hair washing day.
it
So
was it
yeah,
was. It's important. But stay tuned, guys. We've got our Falcons pregame coming this week, as well as our picks for the NFL's top four games, or week four, excuse me, not top four. We got a lot of games coming this week. You got Thursday night, you got an extra Sunday game because the Vikings are in Dublin, and then you've got a doubleheader on Monday night. So lots of good Bada Bets coming up. And don't forget to enter our subscriber giveaway. So hit that subscribe button. Send an email with your name, address, and jersey size to diamondpopgiveaway1@gmail.com. And once we hit our goal of 2,000 subs, we're going to have a drawing. Pick that winner. Details are going to be in the pinned comment below if that was too hard for you to understand.
do you think
How
we
you
need to
feeling?
switch it to a Mariota jersey now? I mean, just to get a little more buzz going.
I'll allow them to make a request. It's not this.
Me as
Pop
well,
runs
as
the.
long as it's available in the team store at a
Yeah.
reasonable price.
If you want a Mariota jersey, I'm not going to fight you on it. I'll let you know
Yeah,
that much. Hopefully, hopefully we hit our goal this week, but hopefully it's more Jaden by the time we get there. But we
of
shall
course.
see. Getting into it here, Falcons pre-game. Last 1 p.m. Sunday game until the month of December. So soak it all in, fellas. Enjoy. Enjoy. This is it. It's going to start getting later on the West Coast for me, start getting later on the East Coast for y'all. So get ready. Enjoy it. Chance to relax. This is also the last game without Dom and Pop in attendance for the
That's
next
right.
couple of weeks.
That's
So
wild.
that's also very exciting. Pretty crazy to think about it in that regard. So, man, it's hard to talk about this game without starting off with the injuries. You want to just go straight there, get it out of the way, Pop?
Yeah, I mean, I think it's got to be the biggest concern, right? I mean, you know, we heard some news today. I guess we'll get more out of, just for full disclosure, we're recording this on Tuesday night.
Always do.
So we'll get more, out of the press conferences, obviously, over the next couple of days, or maybe not. They're pretty cryptic with a lot of
Yeah.
these things. But yeah, I agree. I think that's the headline story is the injuries.
So, so basically, I actually like this tweet from Nikki Jabvala earlier today. It breaks it down in a very simple way, right? Status uncertain, injured reserve, and PUP. So we know for sure. Obviously, IR and PUP are not playing. Status uncertain. Jaden Daniels with his knee. That's still uncertain. I'm gonna go ahead and say I don't think he's playing this weekend. I said that last week. I say it again here. We'll talk about that in a second. Terry McLaurin pops up with a quad. Also, don't think he's playing this week. He's seeked a second opinion for that quad injury. You don't go get second opinions when you like what the first doctor tells you. It's the bottom line. Noah Brown out with a groin slash knee slash
He's
Noah
Noah
Brown.
Brown.
Uh, John Bates out with a groin. John Bates was talking like he really wants to come back this week. Let's see if that happens. Percy Butler, hip. Trey Amos, calf. These are all status uncertain as of today. Maybe by the time you guys are hearing this, things have changed. I doubt it. I don't think DQ is going to reveal all that much. On IR, obviously, Dietrich Wise, Austin Eckler, Jonathan Jones have been on IR. Will Harris joins the injured reserve club with a fractured fibula. So you will not see Will Harris until December football if we're lucky. Maybe not until the playoffs if we're there. That's a nasty injury. So that stinks because he was really good in two of our first three games and is a key part of that defense. So you're going to be seeing a lot more Jeremy Reeves in that secondary, especially with Percy Butler, maybe a little nicked up, maybe not a full go if he does go this weekend. And then obviously Sam Cosmi on PUP. he'll hopefully be back for the Chargers game. But
Yeah, I mean, it's. I guess we could just bite these off one at a time in terms of.
yeah, I mean, goodness, I tried to fly through that and it took 3 minutes.
Yeah,
That's the situation we're in right now.
yeah. I mean, in terms of Jaden, I think the top two to talk about are Jaden and Terry, obviously, right? In terms of Jaden, I mean, it's a tough one, right? There is little noise out there that maybe the injury is a little more severe than we thought initially. I think the one thing that a lot of people are hanging on is the fact that there was a comment made before the game that even if this was a playoff game, he wouldn't have played. I think we touched on that in the last pod as well. So it's kind of an indicator that, he wasn't knocking on the door of playing. And certainly with how well Mariota played, right, there isn't really any reason to rush him back. Even if he was at 100% for Sunday and they went, let's just give it another week. Let's just really lock it in. I wouldn't hate that idea. Although I do wonder, when the Marcus Mariota regression game actually kicks in. I would imagine they've got a fair amount of confidence that they can beat this Falcons team. But, I saw a podcaster for the Falcons saying if we lose the Marcus Mariota, it's going to be the end of the world disaster. We can't lose to him because obviously he QB there. So, but I tend to agree with you. If I was going to predict not knowing a whole lot, I would say I don't think it's this week that Jaden comes back.
Yeah, I don't think so either. I said it last week in our Raiders pregame. I said I think you're looking to LA as the earliest you're going to see him. At this point, I'm like, based on everything that we're hearing, I'm really hoping that we do see him in LA, given that you and me are going to be there. Hoping he's there and he's himself.
Yeah,
I agree with everything you said pretty much, Pop. I don't think there's too much time to be spent on it other than if he's 100%, he's going to go because
of
he's
course
just
he
as
will.
likely to get, if he's 100%, he's just as likely to get hurt this Sunday as he is any other Sunday that he's playing football for hopefully the next 12 years, right? So
It
you got to
depends
put
on
him
how
out
much
there.
practice he can get in, and sometimes getting the injury to 100%, but then you've kind of got to get the rest of your body right
Well,
because
that's what I mean.
you haven't
Yeah.
been practicing, you haven't been working out. You can get away with that maybe like a week for a week, but a couple weeks, 3 weeks of not really working out as intensely as you might have otherwise can have an impact, and you can end up hurting something else. So,
Yeah.
um,
When I
yeah,
say
we'll see.
100%, I include all of those recovery factors that you
Of course,
put in there.
of
Um,
course. Yeah,
so yeah, we'll see with that. Terry,
speculation at this point.
so I'm going to continue to speculate here. I think Terry's headed to the IR. That's my guess. I think you're going to see Terry out for 4 plus. I hope I'm wrong. Maybe I end up editing that out between now and Thursday if we get more info. But goes for a second opinion. Soft tissue injury. Quad is never good. Hamstring, you'd feel different. Quad is never good. And it just, I just, it's the guy holds out all summer. You see it every year with guys who hold out. They start slow. They end up with soft tissue injuries. This is just what happens every year. It happened to CD Lamb a
Yeah,
couple years ago. It happened to Ayuk, and we predicted it over the summer as it went on, and it's now happened to Terry. So now, not only obviously he can't control an injury, but now the team's in a precarious position as a result of that. So that's quite frustrating.
yeah, for sure. I mean,
Definitely.
whether it's coincidence or it's reality, it just seems like when you have those extended holdouts, and this guy's never injured. Guy's been nicked, but just doesn't miss time because of injury. And now, for the
Yeah.
first time in his career, it seems like we're knocking at the door. And I do get that sense that there's going to be an announcement by DQ tomorrow that this is a multi-week deal. And I mean that receiver core, it's scary at the moment, right? No Noah Brown, likely no Terry. Debo's, we've talked about it forever. I think he's probably a better traditional wide receiver than we give him credit for. We're certainly going to have to rely on him to be that. Jalen Lane, um, Who's
Luke
the vet that
McCaffrey.
Luke McCaffrey? Who's the
That's
vet they brought
next.
in that's looked pretty decent? Drawing a blank.
Chris Moore.
Chris Moore, yeah.
I
But
mean, looked pretty decent. Had literally one catch in week one
it's
against the Giants.
it is thin.
Uh,
It's scary thin.
it's
And the
sketchy,
thing
man.
is, you're going to say, okay, it's going to put the emphasis on relying on the running game, but it also tips your hand, right? I mean, if
Yeah.
you're the Falcons, what are you going to do? You're going to just try to take away the run. That's what
What
you're going to do.
which
You
they're
know,
pretty bad at. But
rest up Zach Ertz, get him in the cold tub, you know, get him plenty loose because we're going to need a lot of Zach Ertz on Sunday.
yeah, it's yeah, Sackers for sure is gonna be pretty much wide receiver one. It is really a tough situation. I mean, you just oof, it's rough. I mean, you gotta wonder if guys like Gabe Davis, Tyler Boyd, Jamison Crowder, you gotta wonder if some of those guys' phones are gonna start ringing. Allen Robinson, guys
Yeah,
that,
maybe.
just are sitting at home right now looking for a team with this kind of situation. You have to think that this would be a pretty desirable uh place to
Well,
land.
if you're sitting at home, I'm
Um
sure any one of 32 places is desirable
Right,
for
but
you.
this is as good of a call as you're going to get. Hey, our
Yeah,
one and two are down. We need help. Hopefully, Noah Brown can go. I think if Noah Brown can go, that changes a lot because Noah Brown's the
yeah.
only true outside receiver really left out of this crew. So if Noah Brown can go, you put him outside, and then you can let Debo and Luke, Debo and Jalen, whatever combination of those three, kind of get busy. That would make a
Well,
big difference. But no Noah and no Terry is you just got a bunch of slot guys out there. Like that
and
gets
that's
weird
what
fast.
you really hope for the rest of the group. You hope that Trey Amos isn't that serious. You hope like you said, Bates is back, and that we can get at least a portion of these guys
Yeah.
back because I think that's probably the scariest thing going into this Falcons game and just down the road in the season. We didn't see this type of injury attrition like we've seen this year at all last
How
year.
could you? I mean,
Yeah,
this is like, if you said Terry rolled an ankle, you would have said, "Oh, it's the end of the world. That sucks." If you said Jaden had a knee, you would have said, "Oh, it's the end of the world. That sucks." But all of it together at the same time, and then the backups are getting hurt. The backups are hurt. I mean, Jonathan Jones is out. Like it just is going all the way down the list, and that secondary is looking thin too now with Butler, Jones, and Harris all out. I mean, you're going to be seeing what's his name, the star from the kid from Tyler Owens. You're going to be seeing him on the
yeah.
field a lot. You know,
Jeremy
hopefully the kid
Reeves, I'm
balls
sure.
out. Jeremy Reeves, you're going to be seeing on the field a lot. Who's been very good when he's been on the
Yes,
field defensively. So awesome, love that. But
I
you got
think
to be
if we can,
careful with your words.
I think that the safety group has decent depth. And I think a Trey Amos is a big key here. I think
Amos has got to play.
if he plays, it's a different story. And I think where I'm going to say a word of encouragement is I think what we've seen in the trenches. It feels like they got the right combination of offensive linemen. You mentioned Cosme getting back in a week or two potentially. That could be huge. I feel like the offensive line that we thought we had, which was much improved, we're starting to see that come together. Not maybe the same five we thought it was going to be, but we saw really good signs of that. And I think the defensive line is playing amazing, right? Dorrance Armstrong is amazing. We saw you know, Vaughn get his first sack last week. And that interior, I think, is right in the top of the league of the interior of that D line. So you're going to, if we can win it in the trenches and continue to do that, I think that's how this team can continue to piece together wins. And, this is big, and this Atlanta one is big because going out to the West Coast, despite the fact that we're going to be there and be a good luck charm, um, to play a Chargers team, that's a tough get. We won't be favored in
Yeah,
that game. So you've got to take advantage of these opportunities. It is a Dan Quinn revenge game. So, I think I was just to reiterate a point we made in the post game show, we're paying tribute to Dan today. Although Dominic didn't completely follow through, but that's okay. Um, I'm carrying the flag, and I'm probably closer to Dan Quinn's age if we're being honest here, anyway. But I think that I was so impressed by how he put that game plan together, and he put his stamp on what he wanted, how he wanted the team to play, and he talked about it in his presser. This is what we want to look like. This is who we are, and I feel like that. If we can carry that through to the Falcons game, that is going to be really big in terms of putting back to back wins together. Which I think looking ahead on the schedule, I think that's really important because you don't want to potentially come out of a leg 2-3, right?
No, definitely not. Yeah, so you win this game, it does give you some cushion going into LA. You feel better about like, hey, even if we drop one in LA, which is a tough game, you're still coming out of there over 500. So I like that point there, Pop. But you gotta take care of this one. This one is just as important as the next one, which is just as important as the next one. Every game in the
Definitely.
NFL counts for the same amount of games, which is why it's stupid to say who have you beaten because they all count the same. I don't know who else I have to get through that head. They all count the same. So this is very important this Sunday. Um, should we get into our keys, Pop?
Let's do it.
No, I gotta apologies. I gotta hit my scouting report first. Almost
You
missed the
do
scouting
need,
report.
yeah, you do need to do the scouting report first.
Pretty short scouting report. Falcons aren't great. They were okay last year. They were like flirting with maybe making the playoffs. Everybody projected this big jump forward for them. This year, I've been skeptical of Penix. Um, but you thought, okay, I think like we predicted them to do pretty well in our preseason predictions. He said, okay, well, Kirk was so bad last year. If Penix can just be like league average, this team might be decent. And so far, Penix has not looked league average. I don't want to hate on the guy because I like the player and I like the person, but he's not looked good. He struggled early, so hopefully he capitalize on that. He's got weapons around him. I mean, you got Drake London, you got Darnell Mooney, you got Kyle Pitts, you got Bijan Robinson. They have a good setup offensively. The line is okay defensively. The front seven is questionable, very questionable defensively. Their
Bodes well for the
safeties,
run.
yes, their safeties are great. Jesse Bates, one of the best in the business, probably the best in the business, in my opinion. Whatever side, let me make it easier for you, Marcus Mariota. Whatever side of the field Jesse Bates is on, you better be really damn sure if you're going to throw the football that direction. And the same goes for AJ Terrell. AJ Terrell had Terry McLaurin in witness protection last year. It was one of the best cornerback performances I've ever seen. He was just completely locked Terry down last year. And so might
You
have a
think he
little
can
bit.
lock down Luke?
Is Luke McCaffrey AJ Terrell's kryptonite? Like, comment, and subscribe to
Hey, he
find
had his
out.
breakout game last week.
Luke shake and bake, man. You never know. You never know. What's Dax Milne up to? We could use some depth. Um, but going forward, man, the Falcons scouting report is not so great overall. I'd say this is a decent team. Raheem Morris is a good coach. They could definitely get you, but this feels very trap game to me. You know what this feels like is like the I can't remember which order we played last year. I believe it was the Browns. We played after the Cardinals, and we had just blown the doors off the Cardinals. We just won against Monday night. Maybe I have it backwards, but we just had a blowout wherever, and we're like, okay, this is the trap game. And then we kept just not getting trapped. This kind of feels similarly. I don't fear a trap game too much. We'll talk about why in our keys. But if there was a trap game this early into the season, this would definitely be it, coming off a emphatic Raiders win.
Well, and the fact that they lost 30-0 to the Carolina Panthers, you get shut out, But
Yeah,
I think you need to remember what they did in week 1 and week 2, and they won against Minnesota. They played the Bucks, who are undefeated. Bucks only played close games, but they're undefeated and they played them really tight. So I think if
Yeah.
you and let's say this was week 3 instead of week 4, and we were playing in Atlanta, if the two games got swapped, I think we'd have a different view on this, and we wouldn't be, like the prevailing idea of, well, they suck and we're going to just roll them. I feel like that's, we're only 1.5 point favorites. Probably has a lot to do with the injury situation and the quarterback situation. But I'm sure, their attitude is we're not going to lose to this team with their backup quarterback, a guy that played here and didn't really impress too much when he was here. So, but I agree with you. I expect the boys to be ready. I think that we can follow. You win in the trenches, you've got a good chance to win, and I think we've got a good chance to win in the trenches, right? So,
Yep.
but I think that the trap of the fan base, maybe more so than the team, is to think that this Atlanta team is as bad as they looked last week, and I'm sure they're looking for a get right week, right, where they come out. Now, maybe for them, that's a close loss, right? And they look much more competitive, much better. Who knows? But it seems like one of those situations with Penix and his offensive coordinator where they just haven't found a rhythm, right? The O coordinator is running a pretty basic scheme from what I've heard. Probably some of that is to help Penix, but it's so basic that defenses aren't having a tough time figuring it out. So they just haven't found that mix of what to do, with each other in that perfect blend, and that's not good. They
Yeah.
fired their wide receivers coach. I mean, there's a little bit of, they're the pucker factor's growing in Atlanta.
Uh,
Let's put it
and
that way.
it's an unstable organization. It's ran weird. This Penix thing has been strange from the beginning. I don't know, man. That all is all going on over here. But let's talk about what's happening on the field. Three
Yeah,
keys to a Commander's win. Number one, we're going to run through them quick. We can discuss after. Number one, you want to stop Bijan Robinson and contain the run overall. Not only do they have Bijan Robinson, but they've got Algier, who's a decent back as well. So they've got two great running backs. And uh, you've got to contain the run and you've got to stop Bijan. That's like you've got to force them to have to pass the ball. If you can do that, we're in great shape. And we saw that last night in the Monday night game. We saw just how important containing the run and stopping the run is in a football game. That was like the reminder of all reminders. You got to be able to run the football, which is our second key, establish the run, and take pressure off the pass game, especially if you don't have Terry or Noah Brown. This is the time to just run all over these guys. Let Bill get 15 carries and let McNichols and Rodriguez get 7 or 8 carries each. We should have 30 runs this game, 35 run attempts. Establish the run, got to take pressure off the pass game. If you can do those two things, you can win just about every week in the National Football League. It
of
was a
course.
reminder
Yeah,
last night in that Ravens Lions game. Whichever team is able to stop the run best and establish the run best, if you do both of those things, it's very hard to lose a football game. So you do both of those things against this Atlanta team, they do not have the pass game to make up for it. They have not proven that at all with Penix at the helm, let alone this season. So if this is Michael Penix's breakout game, good on you, young man. But going into it this week, that would be the plan, in my opinion. Number three is going to be generate pressure in the pass game and force takeaways. Penix was benched last week. We've been in a turnover drought. We haven't got one yet. We've come close. We haven't got one yet. Let's get one and let's get ourselves into a position. If we can stay on schedule offensively, take away the run from them defensively, then we can start headhunting later on in the game and just let our defensive ends pin their ears back. And that's when you can start just getting comfortable. Maybe we even see a little Josh Johnson by the end of this thing.
let's hope we see him for the right reasons for sure. But yeah, I mean, I think Penix isn't the most mobile guy. He can move a little bit and he can make some things happen, but I think he's had a couple of knee surgeries, so yeah, I agree. If we can put pressure on him, that's big. again, win in the trenches, right? I think that's what's key to these keys, right? If we're able to force some turnovers, we haven't gotten a turnover all season on defense, right? So I think putting that pressure on and forcing turnovers, and they're really focused on it. Again, um, they were talking about it again today, where they talked about how they were really trying to get strip sacks and just weren't able to get the ball loose. But you could see that that's a real focus of this team, and hopefully, this is kind of the breakout game for that. And I think the only thing I'd say is, it's tough to go into a game, although what you said about their front seven certainly helps, and telegraph the fact that you're going to run the ball and then do it successfully, right? And when we've got Terry and we've got all our weapons, we don't really need to do that because we can be effective in the pass game too. So I think it's going to take getting a bit creative in the run game. Maybe you get Jalen Lane more involved in screens or short slants, so you can get him in the open field and simulate a punt return type situation or reverses, get Debo involved in the mix a little bit, run a little, Marcus Mariota is super effective in the design quarterback runs. Incredible that he's still really good at that. And he seems to have a really good knack for getting the ball out of his hands quickly. So I think there's ways they can get creative in that to not make it as predictable. Of course, the easiest way is just dominate the line of scrimmage, right? So
Yeah, that's what it really comes down to. Is you have to just dominate on the line of scrimmage, and you've seen the first two games that we've won this year. We have overwhelmingly crushed it on both sides of the football on the line of scrimmage. So you do that against these guys. I think that's the main thing for me against bad teams like this is just fundamentals. If you can just do the boring stuff well, you're going to beat this team. It's just we have a better team top to bottom, even with Mariota at quarterback. I would honestly say Mariota right now over Penix, advantage Washington, in my opinion.
yeah, you've got to say
So
that.
you have to, right? So even with our backup quarterback, you look 1-53. This is the better team, Washington. So just do the boring stuff right, and I think we'll get out of this one a-okay. So
Yeah, and you
let's
got you
make
got to
some picks,
imagine
Rob.
DQ does not want to go down to Atlanta as the first game back as a head coach and
Yeah.
lose.
Well,
I
it's
got to
his,
believe this one means a little more to him, even though
yeah.
he will never admit it. I got to believe it does, and I think he'll turn the intensity up like he did this past week with
Yeah.
these guys, make sure they're ready.
I think it probably felt pretty good for him to knock them out of the playoffs last year at home as well. But yeah, going down there might be a different feeling. Let's get into it. Week 4 Bada Bets picks. Pop. Well, actually, we're going to start with our prediction. Excuse me. False start. 5 yards on Dom here. Flu game. Commanders prediction. We are 1.5 point favorites. We're going to ride with the boys. We have to, right?
Yeah, no question. Yeah, that line's not very much. I guess I get it given the injury concerns and the quarterback situation, but
And you're on the road, but
yeah, you'd expect this one to if we come, we perform, we don't make too many mistakes. I think that we can easily cover that 1.5 points.
definitely. Pop, give us the bottom bets records. Kick us off.
It wasn't good, son. I mean, I got to give
Ugh.
you the bad news. It's kind of like meeting with your teacher, you know. But you were 1-4. I was 2-3. The only game we picked different was the Eagles Rams. You were really happy about that blocked field goal, which allowed the Eagles to cover the spread. Um,
Nobody on the Rams can tackle Jordan Davis's big old behind sprinting down the field like that. Come on, man. Great player, but come on, somebody show some hustle. Go
so
hit
I,
him with the peanut punch and recover the fumble. Bring it back. What are we doing?
historically, even though we're probably not known for picks, we've been pretty good. A little rough right now. You're eight
Not
nine for
concerned.
the year after going 1-4. I'm 6-11, even worse. But I got a feeling we're going to rally, and I got a feeling it starts this week.
Let's do it. So we got plenty of chances to rally this week. We've got an extra game, as I said earlier, on Sunday because we've got the Dublin Ireland game, and then we've got an extra game as well on Monday night because it's a Monday night double header. So, starting things off with an absolute barn burner of a game. The
It's
Seattle
not that
Seahawks,
bad. They're two
one and
pretty
a
good
half point
teams.
favorites at the Arizona Cardinals. I guess it's a division game. I just
They're both 2-1. Seattle's actually looking pretty strong.
This is a classic Thursday night matchup right here. What do you take, Pop?
I think I like Seattle. I'm gonna roll with Seattle and take the points in this one.
I like Seattle as well. Not too far for them to travel. Just a good situation. I like that.
They're playing
Sunday,
well.
Sunday, 9:30 in the morning Eastern time, 6:30 Pacific. I will not see a second of that game. Vikings 2.5 point favorites at the Steelers. Well, at the Steelers. The Steelers are in Dublin. What do you think there, Pop?
I tell you what, man, KOC just works magic at times. Who would have thought Carson Wentz quarterback and they just get a big blowout victory? But um, they've got a good defense too. I'm not sure, what they're going to be able to do offensively, whether or not they're going to be able to sustain any kind of success. They do have a good run game. Um, I'm going to go Vikings.
Yeah, well, it's easy for Carson Wentz to ball out when you have the first ever perfect PFF grade occurring on defense with Isaiah Rodgers, who just went
Yeah,
absolutely nuts.
yeah.
And that defense is so darn good. I still don't think that's a very good team, though. And I'm gonna go with all the adversity, traveling overseas. I think it was more the Vikings beat up on a bad team last week than that they're very good. And I think you've got two pretty average teams. So I'm going to take the Steelers here.
Yeah, I was on the fence on that one for sure.
I like the Steelers here. Eagles -3.5 at the Bucks. Eagles 3.5 point favorites on the road against the Buccaneers. What do you like here, Pop? Do the Eagles just keep working that evil voodoo magic that they've been working in order to somehow secure these games?
I
Or
mean,
do the Bucks bring them back down to earth? The Bucks whooped them last year.
yeah, the Bucks have also been sort of, living on the edge, I'd say, against some decent teams and some not so decent teams. Every game seems to be close. I'm just going to ride with the Eagles until they prove me different for right now.
Yeah,
Not enthusiastically, but I'm going to do it.
I'm gonna zag here. You got two playoff teams playing each other. One of them's getting more than a field goal at home. Give me the Bucks. Ravens 2.5 point favorites at the Chiefs. I'm not even going to let Pop's purple wearing brain infiltrate me here. I'm taking the Chiefs. Pat Mahomes getting 2.5 points at home. The Chiefs run the football pretty well and have a great defense. Ravens defense through 3 weeks looks terrible. I'm taking the Chiefs here. Pop, go ahead and pick the Ravens, and we get it moving on to Sunday night.
Well, you know, I'm not sure I want to, and it's. I mean,
Ah,
the reason is there's something that's not completely right with them,
yeah,
and I think that Chiefs defense is special. Their offense hasn't quite gotten going, but if you look at strength to strength, the Chiefs defense against the Ravens offense was definitely the strength of that team. And the Chiefs offense, which hasn't really gotten going yet, they've got some injuries to some playmakers, but they still have Pat Mahomes going against a defense that seems not very Raven esque at the moment. Although, Detroit's offense is, when that offense is clicking, it's as good as any in the league, Detroit and Buffalo. So, they gave up a lot of points to two pretty crazily good offensive teams. Um, but I think I don't know. It's hard to think of the Ravens going. What would that be? 1-3. But it's hard to think of the Chiefs going 1-3. I'll go
yeah.
Chiefs.
I mean, yeah. I think you got to go Chiefs here. I think the Ravens just didn't show you enough last night. I mean, it would be one thing if it
And
was
then
like
you're
a
going
close.
on the road off a Monday night game, right?
Yeah,
Which
on the
doesn't
road
never
off a Monday
easy.
night game, one of the hardest places to play in the league. Chiefs, you're right, Pop. They don't look like the Kansas City Chiefs of 2019, 2020, but they seem to have kind of clicked offensively in the second half against the Giants. Easy to do. against the Giants, sure. But you know who's given up more points than the Giants on defense this year? The Baltimore Ravens.
Yeah.
So, I
Well, I
don't know.
really think that once they can get a little more healthy, get Xavier Worthy back and those guys, which not saying I expect that, um, in week 4, but I think I think they're going to be okay as the season
Yeah.
goes on, right?
Yeah, I think both of these teams are going to be okay. And I think for the Ravens, I was talking about this with some Ravens fans actually. They're lucky that the division looks a little shaky. I mean, the Steelers look average. The Bengals are going to not be able to get anything done without Burrow. So if there was ever a year for the Ravens to be a little stumbly out of the gates, get hot later in the year, and make the playoffs with like 10 wins, this would be the year. So I still think they're going to be fine. We'll be talking about them in late December, early January, as we always are. But right now, it's hard to confidently say that they go in there and just wallop on the Chiefs. Chiefs are getting points, makes it easy. Sunday Night Football, Packers 6.5 point favorites at the Cowboys. Packers are going to whoop them. What do you think, Bud?
Yeah,
I'm taking the Packers. Yeah,
yeah. You got to believe
Cowboys look awful.
they're pretty upset, and I'm sure Mike is gonna be pretty motivated in that one. And the Cowboys do not look good. They do not
Yeah,
look good.
there's
So
like two players on the Cowboys, Dak Prescott and Javante Williams, that have kind of played up to their role this year. And aside from those two, nobody else, including the offensive line, the defensive line, everybody. CeeDee Lamb's also out, might be on IR for a bit. So there's just,
it's not much of a home
ugh.
field advantage, really, either, right? I mean, look, I will say this: I know, we have, I know people that are really, truly, real Dallas fans in Dallas. They're every bit as passionate a fan base as we are. I know people don't want to hear that, but that's true. And they know the real deal. They know that they're kind of where we were with Dan Snyder. They know Jerry Jones is screwing things up down there, and they're pretty frustrated by that. But I think there's probably going to be a Packers fans travel. There's probably going to be a ton of Packers fans there. That might even feel like a home game for them in Jerry Dome. So
Yeah. The
they've
home
got to
field,
be upset after blowing that Browns game.
the home field advantage didn't really seem to matter too much in the playoffs a couple years. Was it a couple years ago? Yeah, it was a couple years ago before Dan Quinn came to us. That didn't really seem to matter too
No,
much last time the Packers
no.
went to town.
It's kind of
Um,
like
uh,
playing in LA. It's not usually
yeah,
a big
not the same.
advantage. Yeah.
They're gonna whoop them. Jets 2.5 point favorites at the
Woo! To talk
Dolphins.
about a stinker.
Now that's a stinker, but
Jets
that's
at
one.
Dolphins. Sorry, I cut you
That's
off.
one. That's such a stinker. It might actually be kind of fun. I don't know. What do you like under the bright lights of the 7:15 Monday Night Football kickoff here for the doubleheader,
Dolphins
the
at
early slap?
home. Dolphins at home, and I think they showed some signs of life last week. The coach McDaniel's got a vote of confidence from the owner. I felt like they really competed in that Bills game. I was actually shocked by that, and that was a close game for most of that game. So I think I just haven't seen it from the Jets quite yet. So I'm
Yeah,
going to go Dolphins there. I mean, but pick a name out of a hat on this one.
yeah, this one stinks. I'll go Dolphins as well. One of these teams is going to be 0-4. And one of these teams might not win a football game this season. They both look pretty terrible, but I'm going to go Dolphins for sure. Uh, Doubleheader, Monday Night Football. This is the second game. That's what a doubleheader usually means. Bengals are +7 at the Browns. Speaking of stinkers, what do you like here?
Wow. So what both
Broncos at the Broncos, excuse me.
at the Broncos? Yeah, yeah, yeah,
Misspoke. That makes a little more sense.
yeah, yeah, yeah.
Uh,
So in this case, both teams are 1-2. Is that what we got there?
I
Sorry,
believe so, yeah.
I know I'm putting you on the spot, but
Oh, the
um,
Bengals are 2-1.
Bengals are 2-1. Okay, so they won their first 2 games, but they looked awful
Yeah.
last week. And then Denver, I mean, just hasn't looked quite the same.
No.
Um,
But we'll only talk about a sophomore slump if it applies to number five, not anybody else. It only applies to the guy that whooped everybody's butt last year. Sorry, go ahead.
we all know why that's happening, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, but I mean, Onyx is struggling a bit. It's tough to give up 7 points
Is it?
here.
Carson Wentz just hung 48 points on them. Is it tough?
Yeah, but I
I'm
mean,
taking the
again,
Broncos
is that an
at home.
outlier? I'm going to go
Broncos at
Bengals.
home.
I don't
All
like
right.
giving up the 7 points.
All right. I tell you what, I hope Jamar Chase does well. What a waste of a number one overall pick that was. No quarterback. Goodness gracious. All right, so we have zigged and zagged quite a bit. This could be a chance for Pop to get back in it if he clean sweeps this week. Pop could get it done.
Yeah, we
But
picked
let's
3 games differently.
yep, so there will be some motion here one way or the other. But it's been a lot of fun, man. I say we wrap this thing up, guys.
Sir,
Without further ado, I've been Dom.
the spot.
Thank you for another great week, everybody, and hail to the Commanders.
Let's go.